Has the Women's War Games match been revealed for Survivor Series 2024? Another edition of Monday Night Raw is in the books, and it was main evented with the Women's Tag Team Championships on the line. The champions Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defeating Women's World Champion Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Now, of course, the match being interesting in itself, it's been building for about 2 or 3 weeks, but more interesting was the interference that we had throughout the match. We had Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton looking to aid Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez to win the Women's Tag Team Championships. Now, for a bit of context, Nia Jax and Tiffany had gone for the Women's Tag Team titles this past Friday on SmackDown and came short in a losing effort when Tiffany was pinned. And of course, during the match as well, Candice LeRae was around ringside, which did cause the distraction. So it brings us forward to Monday Night Raw, and that actually gives us then the numbers of being 4-on-2 in advantage of the heel side, where it was countered with babyfaces Naomi and Io Sky making the save. So far now, we can see a 4-on-4, but as we've seen with the men's War Games match, we have 4-on-4 announced for OG Bloodline versus New Bloodline, but on Raw there was a search for a 5th member. Jimmy Uso made it clear that War Games is 5-on-5. So for the women's match, even though we could potentially see 4 versus 4 at this point, we're going to need to find 5th members for the group. So for me, looking at it and going back to what I've already previously said, Candice LeRae is in and around the circle of the heels, especially with Nia Jax, because she sees Tiffany Stratton as well a bit of a liability. She has said that, well, if she was aligned with Nia Jax would have won a crown jewel. Perhaps she'll even say to her this week, if I was in that women's tag team title match, I would have won with you. And had Tiffany Stratton done what she was supposed to do when I tried to help you get the job done, maybe right now you would be women's tag team champion. So I could see Candice LeRae being thrown into the heel side. So for a heel team, this is what I can see the lineup being: Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae. Going against what we see is Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, Naomi, Io Sky, and who would be that 5th member? Well, easily you could turn around and say, well, Kairi Sane should fill that spot. Damage Control, Io Sky has stable mates. In fact, she has Dakota Kai, who's returned on Raw as well. So one of those two could fill the spot. However, it's interesting that Io Sky came out to make the save at the end of Monday Night Raw and did it without Kairi Sane, without Dakota Kai. If she was going to come out and make the save, surely her friends would have come with her if they were going to be involved in the match, right? And the question is, well, why is Io Sky helping? Well, she is the current #1 contender for the Women's World Championship, same as Naomi is the #1 contender for Nia Jax's Women's Championship, which takes place on SmackDown, which I think could be key, by the way, because I think this is where we can get the War Games match actually set up this Friday on SmackDown. I mentioned about the heel team already. If Nia Jax finds a way to defeat Naomi with the help of Candice, with the help of Tiffany Stratton, and we start getting all the women that I've mentioned so far involved in there, minus Kairi Sane, minus Dakota Kai, well, there is a person that's feuding with Candice LeRae, and that person is Bayley. Now, Bayley would be a very interesting choice for War Games this year, because she's been feuding with Nia Jax technically throughout most of the summer, so there is the natural feud element there. If you look with allies, she's friends with Naomi, so that makes sense as well. She's also been feuding with Tiffany Stratton, I shouldn't forget that either. But there is other parts of this that make this interesting, which is her actual team, because, well, Bianca Belair has made it clear that she doesn't want to team with Bayley for almost the entire calendar year since Bayley broke away from Damage Control. And speaking of Damage Control, Io Sky is in the match, so that would lead to a dynamic of, will Bayley and Io be able to get back on the same page? Could they coexist? Can bygones be bygones? So there is actually a few question marks and a bit of storytelling you can do with War Games teams between now and Survivor Series. Yes, it's the old cliche, can they coexist? We've seen it quite a lot in WWE, but isn't that usually the fun with these War Games matches, that a load of people being randomly thrown together and they have to coexist and they have to team together? I mean, Liv Morgan and Nia Jax were opponents at Crown Jewel. Go and figure out how they're on the same page so quickly. So there is that element there where you can turn around and say, well, let's see, are the teams actually going to be able to work together? We can have arguably some friction in the faces side, like I mentioned with Bayley, Io, and Bianca. In the heel side, we already have it with Tiffany and Candice. So, will there still be the same with Nia and Liv Morgan? Time will tell on this one. But one thing's for sure, that's what I think we have as the full lineup for War Games, for the Women's War Games match this year. But now is the time where I turn my attention to you in the comments below. Is this the right choice in WWE? For me, I think personally it is. I like the idea of a lot of the women's champions being involved in one match. It feels mightily important, and with the introduction of the new Women's United States Championship, depending on how quick they want to crown a champion, there is a space open on the Survivor Series card to have a champion crowned if they want to do that. They may want to drag it out over time, perhaps maybe into Saturday night's main event, but either way, that does give the focus then on one crowning champion on the night, and I think that could be an interesting way to go. As for the feuds themselves, well, for an alternative War Games match, I ain't got any better suggestions. So maybe that's something that I could actually throw as a dig at creative in WWE, but at the same time, with what I'm being presented, it feels like two strong teams, feels two exciting teams. We've got Io Sky in a War Games match again. Please have a fly off the top with a trash can one more time, please. And we have storyline developments that can break out after this that can lead us towards the Royal Rumble season. We don't have Becky Lynch or a Rhea Ripley for Liv Morgan right now, so it keeps her busy. With Tiffany and Nia, we know that could break down at some point, with hopefully Tiffany becoming women's champion, so this could be another wrinkle in that, especially if the Heels were to lose the War Games match. Bianca and Jade are starting the teams for their breakup, it seems, now in the last couple of weeks on WWE TV. Will they be able to keep it together for that bit longer? I imagine they would. And you've got the number one contenders going for women's championships on the other side, so it adds stock into their name as well to try and grab those titles one more time. But that's all from me anyway. Thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, hit the like button. It does more than you can ever imagine to help a channel here on YouTube. Subscribe if you're new here as well, so you keep up to date with all WWE content, AEW, TNA as well. We're on the road to War Games, so expect plenty of Survivor Series themed videos in the meantime, including this one, who will be the 5th member for the men's Survivor Series 5-on-5 War Games match this year. Take care, thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.